Hello, hello. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing magnificent. What's your name?
I go by Tom.
Awesome, Tom. Good to see you. How can I help you?
So I'm curious about this new venture. I want to lay my cards on the table and give you full disclosure. I'm a student of network marketing,
Okay, great.
and because you can't focus on everything, I focus on a small segment of network marketing. And it turns
Okay.
out that two companies that you've been involved in are companies that I have been following, being Ibuumerang and iGenius. And so I'm curious as to first of all, what's the team called that you're on? The team that you're a member of?
Um, there's no team. We just partnered up with iGenius.
I see. So you don't, for example, in iGenius there are a whole bunch of teams. There's
Yeah, but we're not a part of them, so we are our own separate organization.
and you don't call yourselves anything.
Not just yet. No, we just launched like 4 weeks ago.
How many came over from iBoomerang?
From my boomerang, what is that question?
How many on your team came over from iBoomerang to iGenius?
Why is that question?
Well, that's what I'm curious about, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because if you look, there's an application called SimilarWeb, and this is, like I say, I've been tracking both iBoomerang and iGenius, and in the month of January, in a company which had virtually vacated the United States, there was all of a sudden in January there was a 3,000% increase in traffic from the U.S. And I said, somebody's joined, right? There has to have been a team that's moved over, and I'm guessing. I mean, you can confirm or deny. I'm guessing that it's your team.
So, from United States, so my organization is kind of like all over the place,
Yes,
right?
many of whom are in the United States. iGenius until January had been really only fractions of a percent of the overall traffic. 70 between 75 and 77% of the traffic to both of their websites comes from Iraq, actually, and very little of it from the U.S. And then all of a sudden, U.S. appears, and so I said
Yeah.
there's got to be an influx, and I'm guessing.
Yeah, so let me just keep it straight, right? My organization is in 27 countries.
Right, I got it, including the
Yeah,
United States.
including the United
Right.
States.
So
But like,
and that organization includes about how many?
I don't know,
Roughly
sir,
ballpark.
over 200.
200.
Mm-hmm. But they're not from my boomerang. No, I'm building with new leaders, like new
So
network.
how many do you think? How many iBoomerang people came over with you to iGenius? But again, ballpark.
Nobody. So when I left iBoomerang, I did not call anybody.
So there's nobody in your downline.
There are people that have joined iGenius, but I did not call them to join me. Is that making sense?
No, it doesn't, because you've already achieved a rather high rank in iBoomerang, which you can't do without in that short period of time without bringing people over with you, or somebody placed them under you.
No.
And
This is built by work, hard work, and effort.
okay, who who
Yeah.
who is who is it who introduced you to iGenius?
Who introduced me to iGenius?
Yeah,
I spoke to the owner. Well, he's not an
to the
owner.
to the to
He's the operator. Yeah, and the top leader of iGenius.
so Anthony.
Yep.
Anthony Napolitano. Yeah, he is not the owner, as you
Yeah,
know.
he probably. So the owner is InvestView.
Right. Actually, InvestU is a shell company. Anthony has referred to them as a shell company himself. So iGenius is InvestU. InvestU is
Right.
iGenius.
Yep.
Okay, so who reached out to whom? Did you reach out to Anthony or Anthony reached out to you?
I reached out to them.
Okay, good. So you say that nobody from your team in iBoomerang is currently underneath you.
There are some people,
So there are
but not.
some. Okay, that's fair. Good. I mean, honestly, Desi, I would be surprised if that were not the case.
No,
Are you going to speak at in Las Vegas next month?
no clue.
Okay. You know there's going to be the
There's
national.
an event. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do you do?
I own a cleaning company
Okay.
in Massachusetts, and I also operate a one-man medical communications company.
Okay, sweet.
So
why are you studying iGenius and
it's a great question. I don't. The answer is going to bore the crap out of you. If you want, I'll tell you the story.
Yes.
It has to do. It has to do with my consumption of YouTube content, which began with. Please don't be offended with the skepticism genre. I was a longtime fan and reader of the late great Christopher Hitchens. One of the last books he wrote was about one of his interests, which is skepticism, which is a nice way of saying he's not big into religion. That's a heavy euphemism. Anyway, so I subscribed to a bunch of. I'm telling you, you probably want to stab your eyes out with a fork, but this is how I got into becoming a student of this. One skeptic site was called The Genetically Modified Skeptic. Great name for a channel. And his wife.
Right.
Do you know about the channel?
No.
You said right. That's why okay. His wife had a channel which she was interested in Young Living, because she and her husband had both been recruited into Young Living, and that's how I fell down the rabbit. That was the first step.
Okay.
Down the rabbit hole, and that was Desi. That was more than 3 years ago. So, and I can't tell you. I probably became interested in iGenius just because so much attention was being focused on it in the YouTube space, primarily because of another team. I'm almost certain that you know this history. Of another team in iGenius, which was called WFAB, which had come over from Monate and then dissolved. So there are some remnants anyway, and the anti-MLM community was all about it because they like gossip, and there was certainly a lot of juicy stuff which I don't care for, but that's how I first focused on iGenius, and the age demographic in iGenius was about the same of my children, and so that was part of why, and I would have discussion. My children are grown, obviously. We would have conversations, and we would talk about those things. So I've been following iGenius, and the other impressive thing about iGenius, it's really a double-edged sword, really, from the company's standpoint, is the fact that they are compelled to make quarterly disclosures. In fact, they make 3 disclosures per year that aren't 8K. And so to a certain extent, they do need to lay their cards on the table. So it's very hard to sometimes see under the hood of what's happening in an MLM. But to the extent that they really need to stay compliant, they're publicly traded. It's a penny stock. I mean, you know this.
Right.
And they have to make these disclosures. So you know all about.
Absolutely, yeah.
Have you ever?
So how did you find out about me? Where did you find me?
Well, as you may know, the algorithm is a strange and wonderful thing.
Right. Yeah.
If you have certain interests, it kind of just puts these things up. And I was just sort of randomly listening, and then it was probably yesterday I said, "Oh, maybe that's where the bump comes from." Right?
Okay.
Because I know because you may also be aware that TPR has left, and TPR. That's why I raised my eyebrows when you said that your team had 200, because if Miguel V's Raposo is to be believed, TPR had 1/3 of iGenius's reps, distributors. I don't know how many of them went over to B with him. It could not have been. It could not have been 5,000 people. There's no way 5,000. Say again?
I mean, I know people that have been in B and that have left B. They've got a lot of stuff going on.
I'm aware of B too. Now primarily because Miguel has moved over there, I've had to pay attention to B. I didn't have to, but I'm choosing to pay attention to B as well. Now, by iGenius's own admission, before you guys came over, in one of their press releases when they were announced, because you know all about their having purchased the health and wellness company Renew.
Yep.
Okay, and that probably in Las Vegas they're probably going to tell the community as a whole about the beauty and health products that they're going to be.
Exciting.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because Miguel took most of the women with him because TPR is really a very heavily and Game Changers is still largely male. And I could just like I would say, I can imagine Kane Harriet and and Anthony trying to sell skin products. I thought that's good. That's say again.
They do have a lot of ladies. They do have a lot.
Oh, I know. I mean, it's MLM, right? So there are going to be a lot. But to the extent that men do get involved in MLMs, there's a certain genre of MLM or subsection of the community, which is more represented by men than others, and that's the financial technology sector, which you guys are part of. So anyway, so in that press release, iGenius admitted that there were 15,000 reps. Mm-hmm. And Miguel used to say, now you just have to take his word for it, which, again, it's a claim. I cannot verify it. That he had a team of at least 5,000. He used to say 6,000. Sometimes he says 7,000. And so I say, okay, 5,000. If minimum it was 5,000 who were in TPR, and if a substantial number of them left, that's somewhere on the order of 25% to 33% of their reps. And you could see the traffic start to go down. And then there's a boom. And so I'm guessing it's coincidental. I don't
know. Like I'm usually like not, when it comes down to people leave, when I personally make a decision to do something, mm-hmm. I could care less about what other people are doing.
Whose decision was it to leave Ibuumerang?
Oh, my decision.
Yours? Yeah. I know. I'm sorry about. Look, I have a low embarrassment threshold, and I in a way I feel bad. It's kind of hard to watch.
Why?
What's going on over there? Well, because Mr. Buggs is in some substantial legal trouble. He may go to jail. And he has.
All I can do is pray for him. I got nothing negative to say. I've learned a lot from Mr. Buggs.
How to poach downlines? I mean, that's how the man grew his business in Organo. Was poached.
Very well aware.
Desi, I told you I'm a student of this. All right, I'm paying attention.
Yeah,
I hope that poaching downlines was not one of the things that you learned from Mr. Buggs, because that's what he excels at.
What do you mean as far as poaching?
Poaching. Come on. We're adults here. You know what I'm talking about. Taking downlines with you to other. This is actually there is actually decided cases in which he stipulates that this happened. So you may say that it's not, but his lawyers have admitted to this in print.
Yeah,
all right.
But that's not when I came into his.
I'm not talking. I'm just talking about what the man has done to get where he is today. Okay.
I think that's what most people do. Is just like from me seeing the way the industry moves. I'm not the industry. I'm a different person, right?
You say this is common? You think poaching lines is common?
iGenius, he took his entire organization. Then it seems like it's common.
Well, you would know better than I do, and and he's certainly not going to say, and he wouldn't talk to me anyway. But I know that at least the Australian female faction and a lot of the German people also left. Now, how many hundreds or thousands this is, I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know how many came over from how many WFAB people came over from Monate to iGenius. I mean,
I don't think they're doing network marketing anymore.
That was they basically dissolved. That was a real. I mean, one of the things that was fascinating about that is that Monate sells shampoo, and then they're selling a product which could not be as different from shampoo as you could imagine. I mean, and I said, we all looked at this back in November of 2021 and shook our heads and said, this is going to be a disaster. And by golly, it was. At least Ibuumerang sold a trading platform, right?
Trade.
Anyway, how have you been asked to deal with the latest unpleasantness with the CFTC?
In regards to Ibuumerang,
No, we're back onto iGenius.
there's nothing really that I know of that I.
You don't know that they paid $375,000 to the SEC last month?
No.
Ooh,
Really?
no, come on. I'm
No,
sorry.
really, I
I
don't.
shouldn't. No. I shouldn't be the one to tell you.
They paid how much? 300.
375. They paid a $375,000 fine.
For
In
what?
Say again.
What were they fined for?
Probably back when it was Kuvera, iGenius sold a product called Apex.
Oh, so then they did mention that to me in the beginning.
Yeah,
From
yeah. So
whoever was in charge of the company back then.
it's the same guy. Chad was the president
Okay.
since Kuvera, and I hope they're telling you elsewhere. Chad came on about a month before the name change. He may have been responsible for the name change, but when the Apex program was in place, the president of the company was the same guy. All right. I think Christian was also in the company. So anyway,
Christian was in the company, yeah.
yeah. So Chad and Christian are running the show, as far as I can tell. And Anthony, by the way, he wasn't the first master. The first master recruiter is actually still technically in the company. They let him speak at, you know him, right?
Yes, yeah.
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 They let him speak at conferences, but that's about it. So it appears that Anthony's at the top. But if you actually do the math, so the sixth guy that Rick Roberry recruited was Anthony, and then everybody else disappeared. So it goes Rick, Anthony, and then everybody
Yeah, Rick
else,
was the first guy, yep.
and then everybody else. Okay, so they have told you about, because I know that some people are going to do research and say, oh, like there was this. I was just wondering how, what kind of advice they were giving you on how to handle when prospects mentioned the fine. If they told you
At
nothing.
the end of the day, just if you think about it from a business standpoint, right? Every business goes through trials and tribulations.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm looking at operation system. I'm looking at, is the company providing the service that they said they're going to provide? Are the people showing up to provide the service, like the educators and stuff like that? So that is running smoothly.
So about the educators too, I still haven't gotten a good fix on this. Are you familiar with the name Stefan Kassing?
No. I haven't
He
seen that.
was, until about a month before you joined, he was the director of education. And then he and Miguel and that whole team moved over to B. They had some of their own beef. It was sort of typical corporate stuff. He was feeling undervalued. Virtually all of the Vimeo film bits that he had made in the university bit had been taken away. I don't think it was about. They always say it's not about the money. It's always about the money. In a sense, it was about the money. I think the straw that probably broke the camel's back was the Renew acquisition. So they said, you just paid $1.8 million to buy a cosmetics company, and you can't give the educators raises, and so I get it. So they're not teaching SK System anymore at iGenius, which is fine, because really all it was really nothing so revolutionary and impressive and frankly dangerous, if you ask me. But he's teaching that to the B people now. All right. So
What are you getting out of like this research?
What I have to say, Desi, from you, I'm getting an enormous amount, and the most important.
But what are you going to do with the research? What are you doing?
It's an academic interest. I'm also studying differential equations and physics, complex analysis, things like that. I'm actually not retired. I mean, I am running this company, and this cleaning company, and my medical communications company, and I'm going to be in Brazil for 3 weeks, starting Sunday. So, where we're going to be doing birding, and that. And I like and I'm into CrossFit, but that's about so those are that's it for my hobbies. Those are my it's something that I'm fascinated by. I'll tell you, at bottom, what fascinates me about network marketing is that it appears to me sort of a parallel universe that exists among us, but most of us are either underaware or are completely unaware of it. And yet, it's. I mean, I told you I laid my cards on the table. It's a problem. I believe that that network marketing, in terms of opportunity costs, is a value drain on the economy. I mean, I know I went through your Instagram. I know you're a business owner also. And I'm just imagine if you had focused your considerable talents, knowledge, and experience into your swimwear or athletic wear line, man, you'd be killing it. And I kind of hope, I really hope you do that. Like I said, I'm laying my cards on the table. So that's it.
Yeah, for sure. That is not going anywhere, but I'm a person of diversification, right? So I personally love the industry, has done a lot for me and my family. So, and now I'm able to, bless other people with the same opportunity. I kind of disagree, from a traditional business standpoint, when it comes down to the amount of effort, money, work that goes behind it, the challenges, to make the amount of money that you can make through network marketing is a lot easier versus, in traditional business.
I disagree.
Yeah. Have you ever been in network marketing?
I was in. It's a funny. Well, it's not a funny story because it makes me look bad. I was in Market America for 3 weeks, but the only reason why is because I was recruited by an ex-girlfriend.
Okay.
And I thought, huh?
What's Market America?
Oh, it's like a supermarket. I mean, they sell everything. It's really
okay.
It's really a garbage company.
Okay.
Because I thought that something was going to happen that didn't happen. And after just a couple weeks of going to meetings, I realized that she really just wanted me in her downline. So that was it. But like I say, I'm a student. I have a clear view of what actually happens to people's pocketbooks and to personal relationships and to their lives. And I'm not even talking about that. I mean, I'm focusing it strictly on lost opportunity costs. I haven't been to the website of your company, but it looks like and I don't play for that team, so I don't. It looks like you've got good stuff, and I wish you the best in that endeavor. And I hope you get back to it full time, please, for the sake of the good old USA.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I've got.
It's still running. It's not like it's gone. It's
good.
Still running.
Good.
Yeah. But I believe that you got to have multiple income streams.
It's not a bad idea, but I wouldn't say
going on, right?
I wouldn't say you must. I'd say it's not a bad idea.
For sure.
But it's speaking of which, I think sales. The guy who's calling me right now, I'm going to send him to voicemail. This guy is the best salesman. He sells a piece of software which is good for service companies, and this guy calls me weekly, and sometimes I actually talk to him. This guy is good. Real sales. This guy does real sales. Anyway, what was I gonna say? Yeah. Right. So, yeah, do you have to have multiple streams of income? No, you do not. Is it a good idea? Yeah, I think we'll agree on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Awesome. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise, and all the best in your future endeavors.
For sure.
All right, take
For sure.
care. All right, bye-bye.
Thank you.